Catholic Moments, Episode 107, Jerry Weber.
Blooming, finding joy in the journey and hope in the heaven yet to come. Blooming.
Hello and welcome to Catholic Moments. And now, here's your host and my mom, Lisa Hendy.
Thanks, Eric, and welcome everyone to another episode of Catholic Moments, the show from CatholicMom.com, where we talk about all things faith, family, and fun from a Catholic perspective. And we're getting ready to take the show on the road this week. I'm podcasting Wednesday evening before getting ready to catch a very early flight tomorrow morning to San Antonio, Texas for the Catholic New Media Celebration being hosted by SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network. And I'm so excited to see all of my online buddies from around the country, in fact, around the world. Father Roderick and Inga are flying over from Holland. We've got friends from all over the United States flying in. It's so exciting, and it's going to be such a treat. And I want you to know that you can join us, too, by streaming video. Yes, in fact, the entire event on Saturday is going to be broadcast live online on the SQPN Ustream channel, and I'll be sure to have a link to that in our show notes. So that's preoccupying me mostly because I'm only about halfway through my to-do list to get ready to get out of town. And I have, a little bit less than 12 hours before my flight leaves, and I'm nowhere near ready to go. But first, before I get busy packing, I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you again, as we do each week here in the podcast. And today's podcast guest is a little bit different. He's not an author or a musician. In fact, he's somebody just like you and me who you might see sitting next to you in church one day. His name is Jerry Weber, and he's one of my Facebook friends. And I'm very happy to share the conversation that Jerry and I had with you. But before we get into that, let's listen first to the final in our month-long marriage seminar by our favorite deacon, Deacon Tom Fox.
May I start by reading something from the Catholic Catechism, please? The marriage covenant by which a man and a woman form an intimate communion of life and love has been founded and endowed with its own special laws by the Creator. By its very nature, it is ordered to the good of the couple, as well as to the generation and education of children. Christ the Lord raised marriage between the baptized to the dignity of a sacrament. Those three sentences are packed with things we could talk about. Take the word covenant. The Old and the New Testaments often mention the word covenant. Most often it is translated, "You will be my people, and I will be your God." In this action, God married his chosen people. So when we say marriage is a covenant, it's like saying, "You will be my spouse, and I will be your partner." Let me stop right now on that word partner. Think of words that have the same root. For example, the word participant, one who takes part in or has a share in something. Or particle, a portion of something bigger. And that word I used in an earlier deacon moment and just mentioned here, the word partner. One who has a share in something larger, something bigger than the individual. Marriage is a voyage to eternity together. In fact, you are sailing on the partner ship. One man, one woman, with Christ at the helm of your ship. As crew in this God-given voyage, you and I must serve in subordination to the other. And I know it isn't popular to talk this way, but it's the way to become Christ-like in our ministry to a covenant marriage. Recently, friends, I did a search on the internet, a search for the words marriage counseling. Over 212,000 entries came up. I guess this means that many of us need help to keep our marriages holy and sanctified and dignified unions. The question is, are you willing to fight for your marriage, not fight in your marriage? Are you in agreement that you will be a partner in God's plan for mankind? Society may have damaged our understanding that this is what marriage is about. It's God's first sacrament from the Garden of Eden. It's the first sacrament that Christ participated in as he began his public ministry and miracles. I'd like to start a collection of couples who will testify to happiness in their covenant-based marriage. Send me pictures, or someone please start a new Facebook page. Let the world know that marriage is holy and awesome. It's what God wants for us. I'm in prayer for you. This is Deacon Tom. Blessings.
Hey, Deacon Tom, I'm willing to be your first volunteer for that group. I think it sounds like a wonderful group. And especially given everything that we hear in society these days about troubled marriages, this is the week of the whole John and Kate +8 marriage fiasco, and how sad for those children that they have to stand by and watch their parents go through such difficult times. And so a message like yours is so important during a week like this, that we remember the beauty of a covenantal marriage and that we never take that for granted. And especially as I'm getting ready to say goodbye to my husband for 5 days while I travel, and he so willingly is letting me go and being such a great supporter of me, I never want to take that for granted. And I thank you, Deacon Tom, for this month of reminder about what a gift my marriage is. And I know that those of you out there too have been enjoying the marriage seminar that we've been getting from Deacon Tom online. Don't forget to go over to the website and download the great marriage document that he has for us. And finally, don't forget to head over to SQPN for your last chance of the month to leave a comment on any of our Catholic Moments podcasts over there, and you'll be entered to win one of 4 great Catholic marriage books. So we'd love to hear from you over there at the website. It's sqpn.com. Just look for the most recent Catholic Moments episode, and all you need to do is leave a little comment and you'll be entered to win. I'll tell you right now, we haven't had very many entries for the last couple of weeks, so you've got a great chance if you get in there before the end of June to be one of our winners of those books. And speaking of winners, one of my favorite people is up next. Let's hear from our Merry Moments, Sarah Reinhardt.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth.
And my name's Sarah Reinhardt.
It's time for Merry Moments.
I recently read Mother Teresa in the Shadow of Our Lady by Joseph Langford. In the early part of the book, Langford mentions that Mother Teresa always held a rosary in her hand. She was often doing something else, not praying the rosary, but the rosary was still there. People asked her, probably all the time, why she carried it when she wasn't praying it. Her response was that it reminded her that she was holding Our Lady's hand. I was really struck by that image of holding Mary's hand. It got me to thinking about how I might go about my day with a rosary in my hand. It would have to be a pretty tough rosary. I think I'd have to have a pocket full of rosaries, actually, because my 4-year-old would probably have to imitate me for a while, and my toddler would definitely have to have her turn with it. It would have to last through the dishes, done the old-fashioned way because I am the dishwasher around here, and it would have to help me do the gardening. How exactly would I fold laundry, or hang it on the line outside, with a rosary dangling in my hand? That's not even mentioning all the typing I do. A rosary probably wouldn't be all that easy to work around on the keyboard either. As I thought about all of these things, I realized I was doing what I do all the time, getting caught up in the specific logistics. The lesson isn't necessarily that I should carry a rosary around all day long. No, the lesson is a reminder that as I go through my day, doing the mundane things that comprise my everyday life, I am in the presence of Mary. I can choose to go through my day and complain about how tired I am, about how hard things are, about how much I have to do. Or I can decide to remember whose company I'm in. I'm sure I have it a lot easier than Mary did. She didn't have electricity after all, and I'll bet doing dishes and laundry and preparing dinner were not only different tasks, but full of challenges I can't even imagine. The hand holding mine as I struggle through my day is probably worn and calloused. Her hands wouldn't have looked anything like mine. I'm sure her nails weren't long. though it wouldn't have been because she was biting them as I do, but because it wouldn't have been practical for the work she had to do. Would her knuckles have been swollen? What kind of scars, scabs, or wrinkles would her hands have shown me? Her life would have been written on her hands, and that inspires me to embrace my vocations with my hands, to pray as my hands are immersed in the dishwater, to rejoice as I fold laundry, to listen for the whisper of God when I'm occupied with cleaning. My hands spend a lot of time over a keyboard, and as they dance, I find myself looking down, thinking of Mary's hands and how much stronger they would have had to be. Her hands carried heavy buckets, lugged laundry to the river and back, cleaned the cuts and scrapes on Jesus' knees. That said, I don't think it would hurt to carry a rosary around for a day, or maybe 2. Do you? Maybe I'll give that a try sometime soon. I've been feeling like I need a boost of some kind, and walking around with a visible reminder of my mother's hand in mine might be just the thing. And it's bound to lead me back, as always, to Jesus and remind me of his ongoing love for me. Until next week, my friends, may Mary hold your hand and lead you ever closer to her Son.
Sarah, thanks so much for that gorgeous reflection. Boy, I'm really just enjoying having you with us here on Catholic Moments, and I want everyone to know that I'll have a link to the book that Sarah mentioned, which is Mother Teresa and the Shadow of Our Lady, in our show notes in case you want to check that out. It's a great book. And Sarah, just thank you so much for the time that you're devoting to helping us grow closer to Our Lady. It's such a special moment for me each week when I get to crack open your reflection and listen to it, and you're really helping me a lot in my spiritual life. So I want to thank you, my good friend, for being with us. Be sure to head over to Sarah's website. You can visit her at snoringscholar.blogspot.com anytime for more great reflections and insight and wit and just all kinds of great stuff. So now, before we head into the podcast interview for this week, what I'd like to do is share with you a song. And this is really a little bit of self-indulgence. It's from one of my favorite Catholic musicians, Sarah Bauer, who's going to be joining us in San Antonio this weekend for the Catholic New Media Celebration. If you're online on the Ustream chat, you'll be able to watch Sarah, and she'll be performing live from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday evening. That's Texas time. And quite honestly, I don't know what time zone Texas is in. I know it's not the same one as California, and I know it's not the same one as New York, but where it is exactly, I'm not sure. But if you tune in at 5 o'clock in San Antonio, Texas, if you're with us, you'll be dancing with me to the music of Sarah Bauer. And if you're watching online in the Ustream streaming video, you'll be hearing this song. I hope it's my favorite from Sarah. It's called Radiance.
Shine. I wish we made
Next up on today's episode of Catholic Moments, I'm very happy to welcome a special guest today. He's a friend of mine on Facebook and someone that I've been happy to become acquainted with by email. He's a California native and a San Diego County native as well, and a fellow Californian for me, Jerry Weber. How are you today, Jerry?
I'm great. Thank you for having me today.
It's really a treat to have you, and I'm so happy that we were able to connect via one of my favorite social networking sites over at Facebook, and you were so kind to volunteer to come on the show and to maybe share a little bit more about yourself and your own faith journey in our Catholic Church. And what I'd like to have you do is just start off by telling our listeners a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I'm a San Diego native and was born and raised here and have lived here most of my life. I also lived in Arizona for about 4 years, and so I'm definitely a West Coast person. And I think really the big blessing for me, was being baptized as a Catholic. And to kind of make a long story short, I didn't grow up in a real Catholic family. Faith was really not part of our lives, and I kind of went through very tough times as in my teenage years. It wasn't the best of home life, and my parents divorced when I was about 13, and I fell into some bad things, drug use and a rather liberal lifestyle. And basically, I kind of felt, about the age of 17, I kind of felt called by God to learn more about the Catholic faith, and you kind of know when God is speaking to you, because it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was just kind of things dropped into my heart where you just kind of feel pulled in a certain direction, and I chose to listen, and it hasn't been a perfect journey from that point until now, but I think it's changed my life tremendously. It certainly changed my life in a big way at that time, and here I am now, just kind of trying to be a better Catholic, become closer to the faith. I'm growing as an individual, and I think that in many ways the experiences I went through, particularly as a teenager and hearing in God and listening to God, I think can be of help to others.
I want to talk with you about that for a moment, because I live with a 17-year-old, so I have two teenage boys, and I know that he's in a very big changing time in his life. He's just finishing his junior year in high school, and I can see the little wheels in his head turning, and he's so open to the world around him. Right. What was it? Was it a friend in your life, or someone that you met, or something that you read, or what do you think it was that sort of caught your attention at that phase of your life?
Well, it's a little silly, but God will often speak to you in a way you'll notice. And so for me, it was actually, I was, and still really am, I was always like disco music. Uh-huh. And I was watching, and it was around that time, and I was watching the movie Saturday Night Fever. Mm-hmm. And in that film, for those that have seen it, John Travolta's character, his family was basically a Catholic family, living in New York, and that it just sort of when I was watching it and seeing, his mom was talking about going to confession and stuff like that. That was kind of God's way of speaking to me, because I looked at that and I said, wow, there's something neat about wanting to be Catholic, perhaps eating Italian food, doing stuff like that.
Right. Well, it's interesting that culture, that sort of maybe that some of that was lacking. It sounds like in your home growing up that you didn't necessarily have those routines and the traditions and all that, and maybe you were hungry for that. It sounds like. Exactly,
and I think. God wanted to point it out in a way that I would notice and that would appeal to me. It wasn't going to be something that was going to turn me off. It was going to really catch my eye. And sometimes it just takes something little like that to get it all started. And so that's really kind of where it all began. And I lived at the time, I lived rather close to a Franciscan mission. As you know, there's a lot of Franciscan missions here
Yes.
in California.
Yeah, you
and
have half of our listening audience very, very jealous of you because most of us would love to live where you live down in San Diego.
Well, I was very close to one, and I started walking down there and would attend Mass and would just kind of walk around the parish, around the facility in general, and I could really feel God there. I could feel it, and it was something, I can't explain it, but just a presence I had never felt before, and I knew, I've always said this, I said it then, I say it now, it was God kind of telling me, okay, you've tried things your way, and it hasn't worked, and it's not going to work as you're becoming an adult now. Try it my way, and I think that He probably speaks to a lot of young people in that way. It's just up to us to listen.
I believe that too. Boy, what a blessing that you were in that environment too, that you had the missions right around you and sort of a living example of, the peace that can come from that form of spirituality. That's terrific. Jerry, I hope you don't mind if I share with your listeners, you shared with me that you are someone who deals with a lot of anxiety and in fact, an anxiety disorder in your life. I'd like to have you, if you're comfortable, just share a little bit about that and that situation in your life and how you've been able to manage that and kind of come to the point where you are now as an adult and functioning with that.
Sure. I've really suffered from anxiety disorders almost my entire life. I really started noticing it. I was about probably 7 years old. And mental disorders are just as bad, sometimes worse than physical, and it's definitely been a hard thing to deal with. It's affected my personal life. It affected my years at school. It's affected often my time on the job. And for me, I don't blame anybody for it. I mean, I think there's several reasons why it came upon me. I don't think there's any one particular thing. But I think that in many ways, because I've allowed Him to, God can bring good out of this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably saved me from going in the wrong direction a lot of times because it's kept me more, in some ways, a more reserved, down-to-earth person. And particularly when I was younger and on the wrong track, I sometimes think if I wasn't dealing with this, that I might have been more bold to do things that would have kept me away from God to begin with. And so I try to see the glass half full with it. Now, it's still no way to live. It's tough to deal with. I'm confident in my ability to overcome it. It's certainly... I know a lot more about it, and I'm more in touch with it now than ever. But it's not an easy thing for anybody, whether they are a Christian person or not,
right?
To take. But I do think that that God understands what I'm going through, and I think He's there for me, and I'm more than happy to relay any advice or suggestions to anyone dealing with the same issues.
That's what I wonder about, and I do want to say to our listeners out there that if you're someone who does struggle with depression or with stress or anxiety in your life, the first recommendation would always be that you seek out medical help because it's definitely something that you don't want to leave untreated, and with the care of a physician, a lot of these things can really be dealt with. But along with that, I think there are some spiritual tools and kind of just taking the time each day to pray and grow as a spiritual person can help you as well. And Jerry, I am wondering what you'd say to somebody out there who might be dealing with depression in their lives, and what types of advice you might give them.
Well, I think you're on the right track there. I mean, certainly, I personally am very big into natural healing, but I'm not going to speak negative about anyone that has to go the route of medication. And
right.
I would definitely recommend anyone that has these that's dealing with these issues, to speak with their physician and do what's best for them and
yes.
they're most comfortable with. But And regarding the spiritual aspect of this, I think the best thing is to tell God and surrender these issues to Him, and explain to Him how difficult it is for you, and what areas of your life it's hurting you. And He really does listen. Now, that doesn't mean, the next day the problems are all going to be gone, but what He will do is show you ways to work with it. He may point you in the direction of, the right psychiatrist to work with, or in my case, the right, natural healing information to work with. He may point you in the direction of a person that becomes a good friend to you, or just gives you the right advice that you needed to hear that day. And I think if you continue to try your best, and no matter how hard it becomes, just try your best, He will continue to work with you. And the wrong thing to do, in my opinion, is to feel sorry for yourself about it, or ask why me, because these things are unfortunately given to us for whatever reason. But we can be of an example and role model to others, and that they can look at you and say, if they know what you're going through, and they can say, despite going through this, look at how successful they are in their lives. And I think it can be a great story for others to see.
I think that a lot of people who face these types of difficulties, and even people who face, general medical difficulties, sometimes the reaction is to get angry with God and to separate yourself from your faith, maybe to walk away and say, well, if you're not going to, if you're going to give this to me, God, then I'm not, I'm
Sure.
upset with you. I'm not going to follow through on this relationship.
Sure.
But you haven't done that, and you've actually done the opposite, and sort of during these times of difficulty have sort of taken steps towards God. How do you think your faith has helped you through this, and trying to nurture that relationship with God? How has that helped you to see a little bit of light in the situation?
It's helped me because I know there's a lot of examples in growing up that I know I could easily just, blame my parents for what I'm going through now. But it's helped me not to go down that road. It's helped me to just accept that, there are a lot of us who have to deal with mental or physical issues. It's not fair. It's not easy. But I know because of my faith in God and in faith in myself that I can overcome this. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean I still may not be struggling with it 20, 40 years from now. But that I'm going to be, I'm going to get through this. And it's the other thing I would tell you is that it's something that, at least for me with the anxiety issues, it's often kept me away from the faith, because in dealing with, one of the things I do deal with is social anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and that can keep you away from Mass because, I guess it's a good thing. I've never been to a Mass where it's not crowded, and that's a good sign.
Right.
But it can keep you away from that. And, God certainly doesn't want that, but I think if I continue to seek after Him and ask for His strength and do my part, I believe for that example, I'll overcome that. And I think that other people in the same situation can do that as well.
That's such a great thing to bring up, what you say about Mass attendance. And I never would have thought of that. But I know that in our parish, we have a homebound ministry, and we have people that go out and visit people and take the Blessed Sacrament, take the Eucharist to them in their homes.
Right.
And I wonder how we as a church might just look at, people who aren't necessarily just elderly that need those services, but other people too that might, that might be a transition or a bridge to them. So if you're out there and you work in your parish, this might be something good for you to talk about as a parish community, how we can reach out to people who might not necessarily be comfortable coming to Mass in a big crowd on Sunday. That's really, I'm glad you brought that up, Jerry, because that's a revelation for me. So.
Exactly, and hopefully it helps for us to a reminder, not be so quick to judge others that maybe are not going to Mass. It might not be that it's because they just don't want to go. It could be reasons such as this where they're just uncomfortable, but they really want to. And I think that with prayer, God can bring us to that point slowly but surely to where we can have the strength in situations like mine to be there and to worship our Lord.
Well, Jerry, I could spend the afternoon talking to you, so I'm very sorry that our time is coming to an end, and that I'm going to have to let you get back to your work. But I want to just ask you before we wrap up, if there are any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners, or any additional thoughts comments you'd like to make.
I think I would say that God is so important in our lives, and to never forget what He's done for us. And I know the majority of your listeners and you and I, we live in the greatest country in the world. We're blessed with so many things. And just not to forget all that God has done for us, and let's do our part and in return work for Him and do what we can for Him. And also, I'd love to come back with you sometime and talk more about this.
I would love it, too. It's been a great chance to have a chat, and hopefully this is just the first conversation of many.
I hope so, too.
Our guest, again, has been Jerry Weber, and you can connect with him through Facebook, just like I did. So many of us are friends online there. And, Jerry, I want to thank you again for your time, and I want you to know that you'll be in my prayers.
Thank you, and you in mine. God bless you.
Thanks again, Jerry, for just a great conversation. I really enjoyed getting to know you a bit more. And I want to thank you for volunteering to come on the podcast. It was a pleasure to speak with you. Now, as we get ready to close out this week's show, I want to let you know that I'm going to be trying to give some feedback this weekend from the Catholic New Media Celebration. I'll definitely be recording some interviews. I'm not sure if I'll actually get them posted to the website or over to iTunes or not, but keep an eye out for your iPod. Maybe we can pop in and leave you some little bit of enjoyment from San Antonio along the way. And definitely next week's show will be Choco Block with interviews that I've taken from San Antonio. So I hope you're going to enjoy participating in that with me. If you're going to be there and you are going to be at the conference, I hope you'll come up and introduce yourself to me. And I'm looking forward to meeting so many of you who I know are going to be there, my Twitter friends and Facebook friends and all of those fellow SQPN groupies of mine. So let's just have a great weekend. And as we close out the show, as usual, I'm going to beg for your feedback. I'd love to hear from you. You can drop me a note anytime to lisa@catholicmom.com. Be my friend on Facebook, Lisa Hendy, or follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Lisa Hendy. And of course, I'd love it if you would call our voice feedback line. It's 206-339-9272. You can always find that phone number at catholicmom.com or sqpn.com or anywhere where you listen to this show. And don't forget to register for your chance to win the 2 giveaways that we've got going on right now, the Deacon Tom Catholic Marriage Books giveaway, by leaving a comment over at sqpn.com. You can enter that more than once. You can leave one comment on every weekly post. And our wonderful Deanna Witkowski Sacred Jazz CD contest that we also have going on over at catholicmom.com. And I'd love to hear from you guys. We're going to close out this week's show. Our prayer, is going to be another wonderful song from Sarah Bauer. In fact, probably After Radiance, my second favorite of her songs. And I hope that you'll enjoy it as well, and that you'll join me in praying for all of those who are going to be traveling this weekend, for the work to be done, for the work that lies ahead of us in the new evangelization, that we use these tools to draw hearts and minds and souls closer to the God who loves us all so greatly. And so I leave you now with Sarah Bauer.
How do you want me to change the world today? Where do I start? How do I begin? How do you want me to change the world today? What is my part? How do I fit in? The faces I've seen that are starved for food, the voices I've heard that are starved for truth. Oh, what can I do from my own backyard? to change the world tonight? What can I do? How am I to know? How do you want me to change the world tonight? Are you asking me to stay or should I go? The faces I've seen that are starved for food, the voices I've heard that are starved for truth. Oh, what can I do? A simple smile or a brief hello, a patient ear when I want to go, a helping hand when there's no time. One small sacrifice can change a life. Oh, these I can do from my own backyard. With the smallest acts of love, we can be his face. We will see your face. You are the faces I've seen that are starved for food. You are the voices I've heard that are starved for truth. Oh, what can I do? What can I do? Oh, what can I do from my own backyard?
SQPN, leading the way in Catholic new media.